Are you living a life by design or a life by default and one that has been assigned to you? That is the question in today's video. This is going to be raw, real, and I'm going to unpack a lot of the things that we all need to hear, reflect on, and then take massive action to change our lives so that we do work towards an entire life that has been designed by you, around your family, the things that you love, the things that you're truly passionate about, so you do not live a life of regret. Because society has told us a lot of lies that were considered the norm for decades upon decades, and thankfully, due to the amount of information that is online, people are waking up to that, and I'm also going to help that process of you waking up. But before we do, I just want to say I am recording on my new camera, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I've got the old head tracker feature on, so let's see how this camera gets on if anyone's thinking about using that for creating your own content. So look, I got a lot of notes here on my phone, so much to get through, but let's start with the possibility of actually designing your life and escaping the 9 to 5. Let's address that first. Say it out loud. I could escape the 9 to 5. Most people don't believe it. They in fact fear it because it's stepping outside a comfort zone. It's stepping outside the norm because we were told to try hard in school, work really hard, get GCSEs, do good at your SATs, go to college, get into university so you can make your parents proud so they can brag about it to all of their baby boomer friends, and then you go and get a high paid job that you work 40, 50, 60 hours, make them proud, and then you get the mortgage, you have the house, then you start a family, you get the finance car, you get a dog or a cat, and in society's eyes you are now living the dream. And you do that up until you're 70 years old, or well, retirement age is getting older now, 75, 80 it will be. And then hopefully you have saved 80, 90,000, which hopefully lasts you the next 10, 12, 15 years, however long you live, say from 70 years old, and you've won. That's life. You have fulfilled the dream. No. The ideal situation is you work hard and smart as early as possible and stop working for anyone else, and then you live life, explore, have adventure, make memories with your family, do things that you want to do, fulfill your passions, your hobbies. But society will tell you, well, that's a pipe dream, Aaron. That's not real. That's not the real world. You see all these things, when you hear this time and time again, especially by the older generation, you're not living in the real world. That's fugazi. It's all gone to your head. Content creators, influencers, new business, online, it's all rubbish. Work hard, do that for loads of years, climb the corporate ladder, and you'll be happy. Well, in fact, most people aren't happy in their jobs, not because of the job itself, but because they're not happy. Alter egos, anxiety, depression, knowing deep down that they're serving someone else and they're not really living life on their terms. And that's why this video is going to be very real and raw. Think about this, and this is where I'm going to get you thinking. Replacing a salary. The average salary in the UK is £1,500 to £2,500. Is that really that hard to replace? I've done videos on this. You know, we'll pop it up here. What business models can replace your job? Quit your job and build an online business and go all in on content creation for 12 months. You'll never work a 9 to 5 job again. I've deep dived that. I'm not going to go into how you replace your job because there's videos on my channel explaining that already. But replacing your job is not a million miles away. I'm sat here at the bottom of my garden recording this video because I have time. I have created sustainability, I've replaced my job, I manage my money very well, and this is something we're going to talk about, not keeping up with the Joneses. I have done the fundamentals and I have not kept up with social media, which has allowed me to obtain freedom for me and my family. So look, money management is a big part of this. You can build a service or some form of product-based business online. Business isn't scary, by the way. It doesn't need to be a limited company. You don't need an office in Canary Wharf. You don't need a big company's house with hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds going through. You can set up very lean, scalable, low-cost entry business models, which you build whilst you're working your job. So yes, you're going to have to put time and effort into doing it, but to get to the point of being able to replace your job is so much closer than you think. But you need to rewire your brain. You need to re-educate. You need to change your social circles. You need to stop believing what the governments and the corporations want you to think. Governments and corporations and your employer doesn't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to be savvy on taxes. They don't want you to learn about new modern online business. They don't want you to learn about systems and AI. Because when you start learning about this, you question, what have you been doing? Why have I been working 40, 50 hours when if I'd have just created a very basic service around a passion or a hobby of mine, put some AI integration behind it, upgraded myself in terms of personal development, learning, going to networking events, getting around other business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are also succeeding in life. If I'd have done this earlier, I wouldn't have had to work 40 hours putting up with the BS, being micromanaged, being spoken to like an idiot. The other part of all of this is your money management. Where social media is great. It can make you more money than you know what to do with. I've been on that side of it. I've made so much money from social media, it's a joke, but I love it. And it's given me so much freedom in return because I manage that money very well. We live like minimalists as a family, and I have avoided the distraction and the comparison and the external validation needed for social media and getting sucked into what people want to see. And if you can just change and reframe your mindset in that you don't need to keep up with the other people, you don't have a point to prove, you shouldn't be doing things for other people, you need to learn not to care about what other people think. And luckily for me, I developed this mindset very early on in my 20s when I had my son. And how did I develop this mindset of not caring what other people think and speaking my mind? Just as a character for me, by the way. I'm just very confident, very bolshy, very outspoken. In employment, I never knew I was going to last because no one can manage me. I've always been my own boss in my head as well. So it made sense for me to always work for myself. So I've just had very thick skin from a young age. But that worked very well in order to design a life for me and my family. You also need to understand your purpose. Like, what is it you actually want? How much money do you actually need to make? This is something else that a lot of people are confused about, which leads to procrastination because there are too many consumers looking at social media, seeing the £10,000 a month, £15,000, 20, £100,000 a month, and you are influenced to think that that is what you need to obtain freedom, success, and stability. It's not. You need to sit down as a family or sit down on your own and go, how much money do I need to make consistently every month on my own to walk away from a job and then to be able to pay the bills, everything that I need to live? How much can I reduce in expenses? Like, do you need Now TV? Do you need Xbox Live? Do you need Prime? Do you need Disney? Do you need software outgoings? Like, the money that you're spending, do you really need to be spending it? Or are you doing it because you've fallen into bad habits? You have bad money tendencies, right? Look at all of that and you'll be surprised. You'll probably look at your outgoings and you think, well, I only need $1,800 a month to pay my bills and everything else for me and my family. So I just need to build something and go hard into something to make £1,800 a month. And then technically I'm free from a job. And then the second part of that would be learning marketing, systems, VSOPs, processes, AI, outsourcing, and getting to a point where you systemize things that it then happens on its own. And then you just start to lead towards more the marketing side of it, right? So anyway, replacing a job is totally possible, right? Stop fearing replacing your job. Now I want to talk about the unfair exchange of time. I want you to realize that giving 45 years of your life to an employer is disgusting. It is not normal. It is not okay to get to an old age and just hopefully live on retirement money. I'm 32 and I am living the life that I want. And I want you to as well. I want you to realise that it is not okay to work a job until you're 70 years old. And then you're meant to start living. I also want you to realise that it's not okay to have to ask permission once a year to book a 2-week holiday to go abroad. To have only 28 days, 30 days maximum per year as holiday. And you do that for the rest of your life until you retire. Do you not see how unnatural this is? And the system has lied to every single one of us. And it's not our parents' fault. It's not baby boomers, right? It's just there's not been enough education around this. Schools will never teach us this. The system has been put in place and it is working perfectly. But thank God to the world of information, AI and social media, is that people are starting to talk about it, which means people are becoming aware about it. Like me, like others. And look, here's the other thing. When I talk about stuff like this, there is a market of people that are insecure, frustrated, and they become haters of mine because I am addressing a problem that they know is real, but they don't like me talking about it because it may help other people change the trajectory or the path that they end up on. And the people who feel insecure about these types of subjects, they typically feel that it's too late for them and that now they're living with the regret in which I am now talking about and trying to prevent you from living in. For me, I like to just potter about my garden. I like to go on holiday when I want with my family. I like to make decisions. I like to be solely responsible for how much money I make, who I work with, where I go. Can I work from a cafe? Can I go abroad and work? You know, how much money am I going to have in my pension? I like to control all of this. I don't like answering to a manager. I don't like having to compete with people in a workplace where it's very backstabby. The other thing is as well, look, mental health is such a big thing for people right now. Thankfully, you know, I've never suffered with any of it, but there are many people in the workplace. You know, I have friends who are still in the workplace and they're almost like broken. They don't know who they are. They pretend to be people. They've developed a workplace character just to survive. And that's damaging to someone's confidence, self-esteem. And again, this is something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be broken. We need to realise that you can change all of this. There's a terminology in which I use, which is called control the controllables. The reason I don't watch the news and I can't bear anyone that blames external factors, like I did a video recently about the cost of living crisis isn't real. And the message is prices have always gone up. We're never going to change that. But what we can do is we can control how much money we make and how much we develop as a human being. So it annoys me when people say, well, the price of bread has gone up and the price of fuel has gone up. It's a joke. Governments are taxing us left, right and centre and my employer's not paying me enough. And my view is, well, why don't you take control of what you can control? Why don't you learn to make more money on your own and then you won't be bothered about the price going up by 20, 30p? If you are responsible for your life and you stop looking to blame and listening to the negative external noise and you block it out, you actually get so much done for yourself and you focus more. You achieve more when you take control and accountability, which is why I don't like people who play the victim card that, you know, it's the government and, oh, you know, it's Rishi Sunak or it's Keir Starmer, it's Donald Trump. And it's like, you can point the finger all you want, nothing's going to change. The only change happens when you change. And I'm a big believer of that. Like, if you don't like your job and you're being bullied, it's just life. Typically, if something's not going well, life's trying to teach you something. You need to listen more. If you don't like your job, change. If you don't like the 9 to 5, build your own business. It's not scary. It's not daunting. If you're unhealthy and the doctor has said to you, it's not looking good, your cholesterol and your blood pressure's high, get healthy, join the gym, work out every day. Stop eating rubbish food. You have full control of that. If you don't like the people that you're around and they're negative and they're making you feel miserable and you're in conversations which are very toxic and gossipy, no one's forcing you to sit down and have a coffee with these people. Change your social circle. So I'm a big believer in controlling the controllables. Now, something I do want to talk to you about is stop caring what other people think. Now, something I do need to address, and this is a very raw subject, which a lot of people don't like me talking about because it's the truth. No one cares about you. No one cares. There's only 2 times people will listen, especially in the social media world. If you change their life or you're making them money, then people care. Only for the time that you're serving them. When you come to realise that no one really cares and that you are forgotten about very quickly, if you die, you'll have your funeral, loved ones will cry, but weeks later, months later, people will move on and they will start laughing again. If you leave your workplace where you have had 7 promotions, you have brown nose to the high heaven, you have made the company millions, as soon as you do something wrong or gross misconduct or there is a company restructure or they integrate AI which wipes out your job, you will be forgotten about in less than 72 hours and you will be removed from the WhatsApp groups. So when you have this raw, real truth mindset, harsh reality as it is, right? You can then start to think more calculated for you. When you understand that no one cares, you can start doing things that make you happy. You stop worrying about offending everyone. If you're going to become a content creator, you won't necessarily worry so much about having your opinion. As long as you're not being racist or you're hating on people or you're saying something very bad, speak your mind. Say what you think. Share your opinion. I went recently street interviewing in my local city centre and people were worried about saying whether they trust their co-workers or not. Why? Because they care. Because they don't want to go into work and if they get spotted, someone will say, you said you don't trust your co-workers. Well, I'm one of your co-workers. They care. I'd never care about that. I remember saying to my videographer, if someone came up to me when I was in my 9 to 5 job and said, do you trust your co-workers? I'd go, nope. No, I don't. And let's say I went into my workplace and someone saw that and went, oh, Aaron, saw your video about saying you didn't trust your co-workers. No, I don't. I don't trust you. I don't know you. We've both been forced into this environment. I don't know you from Adam. Yeah, we're polite and we get on and we have a laugh. I can't trust you because I'm authentic to myself. And when you're authentic to yourself and you live a life by your design, you don't suffer with mental health problems because you're being true to yourself. You're not lying. You're not living a life of a lie. You know, people will do stuff in the workplace like fake laughing. Do you realise how damaging that is? You know, the message in this video is like, work towards doing what you want to do. And typically that will start with escaping a place of pain. That might be your job, that might be your mental health, that might be your social circle. But take the action to start designing the life that you want. Understand what you want. Ignore all the noise of social media. Create. Do not consume unless it is inspirational or educational. Those are the only time I ever enter the social media world of watching and listening. If I am learning or I am being inspired. Other than that, I do not doom scroll. Because here's the other part of this, doom scrolling. You waste time. The biggest fear for me is getting to a point in my life and looking back and, you know, let's say something happened to me in my health in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and I didn't live life for me and my family, or make memories, or go on that holiday, or take advantage of that adventure, or whatever it might be, or go on that run, or book that event with my family, whatever it is. If I didn't do it, I would look back and I'd think, why? What stopped you? You had everything at your fingertips. Like, this is how crazy it is. Every single one of you watching me right now, you could do exactly what you want. Anything. You want to become a YouTuber, you want to own a business, you want to travel the world, you want to be sponsored by a company, you want to inspire people by creating content, you want to talk on a stage, you want to be a motivational speaker. You can. There's nothing stopping you. You have everything at your fingertips to learn how to do it. There's nothing we can't do anymore. Nothing, because it's all at our fingertips. So why do we not do it? Fear of judgment, fear of failing, of people pointing the finger, laughing at you. People will laugh and they'll think it's cringe and they'll judge you until it works. And then they all want to know how to do it. When I first started my first YouTube video in here, you know, if you scroll down to my first video, I think the one to check out would be how to manage your money in your 20s. Oh my God, it was awful. The sound was bad. I didn't even have audio. I had no lighting. I was doing it on my phone. I was looking at the camera screen like I am now. Wasn't looking at the camera lens. It was awful. And people did laugh. I even had a family member who I don't talk to who was very judgmental and would point the finger and would talk about me behind my back. Not anymore. In fact, a lot of those people want to know how I do it. A lot of people want to know how I've got so much time on my hands. Because I made sacrifices in my 20s. That's the other thing you're going to need to do. Make sacrifices. And I took calculated risks on myself. I backed myself, and I want you to back yourself. I want you to get the confidence to know that we are in different times. We are not living in the 80s and 90s where it was normal to go through the system, get a job, you live for the weekends, you go on holiday once or twice, maximum a year, you save up for a house, and that's it. Gain freedom as early as possible and live your freaking life. That is my message. I mean, I've got loads of other notes here, but I think I've covered most of it. You know, the main things are, don't live a life of regret. Freedom is so close, you have no idea, in terms of being able to step away from a job. Escaping the 9 to 5, as gimmicky as I said, that saying is, escaping the 9 to 5, I talk about it. You can. Manage your money. Know the number that you need to replace. It does not need to be £10,000 a month. Forget about making £10,000 a month. You do not need it. You might only need £1,800, £2,000, £2,500, £2,732. Maybe you need £2,948. Maybe you have a bigger family and some more outgoings that you can't walk away from and you need £5,000 a month. You can make that. Create content, create a service, create a product. You can monetize everything. Go watch some of Gary Vee's stuff. That man has been bang on the money from the off. In the next 5 years, everything will be monetized. Everything. Anything and everything will be monetized as long as you know how to market it. Build in systems, build a funnel, collect data, do all that kind of stuff. Learn about that side of business, AI, processes, integration, do all that. Implement it into your content creation, your marketing, start to generate sales, put processes behind it, work towards passive income, and you'll eventually be able to leave your job. Go all in on yourself. This is the other thing that it scares me, this does. When I say to people, work on yourself for 5 years, leave no stone unturned, avoid all distractions, manage your time and your money very well, make sacrifices and do that for 5 years, you'll never have to work again and you would have built a life that you'll be proud of with no regret, loads of purpose, loads of fulfillment, and you'll be able to do whatever you want and you'll have the money to do it. And people literally sniff at working for themselves for 5 years and potentially not making a lot of money in 5 years. It goes back to the whole, I left a career which could have, at 50,000, which could have gone on to the 60,000, the 70,000. And I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, you know, just 60,000, 70,000. But I chose to take a massive pay cut because, again, my family and I, we are minimalists. So we could live on less. It is far better for you to step back from a high-paying corporate job, get rid of the fancy house, the fancy car. No one cares. No one cares about what clothes you wear, what Rolex you have, what shoes you wear, what house you're in, how big your garden is. No one cares. No one cares about what you own. What's it going to say on your gravestone? Owned a Rolex Submariner, owned a big house, owned this car. No, no one cares. You will be forgotten about so quickly. And although that is the harsh reality, it's such a refreshing way to live because then you actually start living for you. Please live your life by design, not one that's assigned to you. If I can help in any way, let me know in the comments. This was a sit down, no script, no notes. I just wanted to talk about this. So if you stuck around to this point, kudos to you, you know, well done. But I'm very passionate about this in terms of living a life by design, because when you start to realize that it's not about being busy all the time and running around here and doing this and doing that, it's actually about being able to stop and do nothing. Like, I love being at the bottom of my garden here. There's two parts to my garden. There's the long part of the garden, and then down here is like where the bonfire is, the cabin. This is where I record. I do like my writing and stuff like this. And I look out and I've got all these fir trees around me right now. I just love it, and it's peace. You know, I haven't come into contact with anyone today. I went to the gym earlier, you know, obviously like with my family, but in terms of the outside world, I haven't come into contact with anyone. I haven't got to deal with anyone. I don't have to answer with anyone. And, you know, the wind's blowing in here and just going to go up. I'll upload this YouTube video. I'll have some lunch and just peace. Literally designed my entire life. I was never bothered about earning the most amount of money. I'm not bothered about having a massive company on company's house. Not bothered about having loads of staff. I've always wanted to make enough money that I can pay my bills every month, that we can go on holidays when we want and we can make memories. I don't care for any materialistic things. But my entire life has been designed around what me and my family wanted, and that is just freedom to do what we want when we want. And we only answer to ourselves. And I just want that for more of you. So yeah, this is just a very raw and real video. So there'll be a couple of videos at the end of this. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out on this new DJI Osmo. But until then, I do wish you all the best. Again, let me know in the comments what you resonated with most. In fact, that will really help me. What are you going to take away from this video and implement into your life? Or what hit home most? That's the most important part for me. Where did I reveal? Where was the vinegar on the wound moment for you? So yeah, until next time, peace out.